Welcome to Everything Arsenal. We are back again with another live stream. This time we will be talking about Douglas Luiz, the latest on Federico Chiesa, and also the latest on a former Arsenal striker, or a current Arsenal striker who's in on loan the last couple of seasons. What are we gonna do with them? So let's start with the big news in terms of Douglas Luiz. You already know you're going to sign a midfielder this season. It's still very tough to predict who you're going to sign and if Partey is still going to stay or leave. We are still not 100% sure what is going to happen with that. But today we've had some news on Nana, some news on Zubimendi, and now some news has come out on Douglas Luiz, and this is the latest on him. Douglas Luiz has become a target for Juventus and Arsenal as Aston Villa have to sell players to comply with PSR rules. The price of the Brazilian, £50 million. That is according to IE Mad. So that's a very good price for Douglas Luiz. As I said, Douglas Luiz would be my first option if I was doing this Arsenal signings this season. My first signing would be a midfielder and then followed by a striker. And Douglas Luiz would be my option. Again, if everyone is the same price and everything, I'd probably pick Bruno Guimaraes, but Bruno Guimaraes is double what Douglas Luiz is right now in terms of that fee. And this is a weird one. If you're actually able to get Douglas Luiz this transfer window, that would be a huge one because this is not a player I expected us to get, especially or even been linked to, because Aston Villa have qualified for the Champions League and things are going well at Aston Villa. They're loving their manager. Their fans are in a happy place. You know, they almost won the Conference League. They want to go far in the Champions League next season. They want to qualify for top four again. They'll probably be able to attract new players and all that. So my thinking was this time getting players from Aston Villa and teams like that will be very difficult. But doesn't look like the case. Looks like they actually have to sell players, which is quite interesting. They do need to sell players. And let me read this as well. This one from TalkSport. Aston Villa considering selling Douglas Luiz this month to ease PSR concerns. TalkSport understands Arsenal are long-term admirers of the player. As we know, we've been linked to him for a long time. We were doing deadline streams in 2022 when we were making bids for Douglas Luiz on the final day. I think at that time you offered like 20 million for Douglas Luiz on the final day of 2022. It didn't actually happen. He ended up staying there, and since then, Douglas Luiz has improved as a player. They've improved as a team. So if you use 20 million then, or we got 20 million rejected then right now you have to pay a little bit more. I thought it was going to be more than 50 million, but for 50 million, Douglas Luiz would 100% take in. That Premier League experience, fits into our Brazilian culture. In terms of set pieces, is quite good. He can score direct from corners. He's great at passing in midfield and all that. I would 100% take Douglas Luiz. Let's also get through this one as well. Arsenal are once again taking a concrete interest in Douglas Luiz, one of the preferred profiles to strengthen the midfield in the summer. Juventus are also on his tracks. Aston Villa need to sell some players by the end of June. Now, and this is from Rudy Galetti. Ideally, Aston Villa probably want to, Aston Villa would want him to be sold to Juventus for that kind of money. Obviously, they'd want him to be out of the Premier League and not really to Arsenal, because they do see us as a top four rival. But for us, getting a player like that, if you're able to attract Douglas Luiz a season after attracting Declan Rice, getting those Premier League experienced players, there's a time Arsenal never used to sign players from the Premier League. Like for 15 to 20 years, we never really used to sign players in the Premier League. We were getting players like Sami Nasri from outside, Kleb from outside, Arshavin from outside, basically all our players were signed from outside. Vermaelen, all our players were signed from outside. But recently, we started doing a lot of business with Premier League teams. Declan Rice is one of them. Chelsea always do business with them. Havertz recently, Willian a couple of seasons ago. We are now doing business with Premier League teams. You're now, being linked to players from even Man City, Jesus and Zinchenko. You're being linked to players from Man City, from Chelsea, from Liverpool, from Aston Villa, from Newcastle. I think it's great getting Premier League experienced players here and there. We're also being linked with players like Onana and players like that. So Douglas Luiz, for me, I would 100% take him. He's a player I'd absolutely love. In terms of dream signings, we did a video like a month ago talking about dream signings, and Douglas Luiz would have been my dream signing in terms of getting a midfielder. And that was before I knew Bruno Guimaraes would be linked. But Bruno Guimaraes for 100 million, that is too much. Douglas Luiz for 50 million, I think that's a very good price. I think that's a price I'd be willing to pay. And let's say you have a budget of like 160 million. If you're able to get Douglas Luiz, and then you still have like 100 million to spend on a striker and a winger, or a left back if they want a left back. Personally, for me, I'd get a midfielder, striker, and a wing. I'm not really bothered about a defender. I want all 7 of our defenders to stay. If that happens, I think that would be a good transfer window. You need to keep on improving. It's one of the two. Either you get a 120 million striker and no other player, or you balance it between the 2-3 different positions. And I think getting a player like Luiz will allow you to get players from other positions. So just to get through it again, Douglas Luiz has become a target for Juventus, and Aston Villa have to sell players to comply with PSR rules. The price is £50 million. Now, this becomes even more concrete considering that we've just had that Onana Arsenal don't want Onana anymore. I think is it this one? I don't know if we still have it here. John Cross of the Mirror reported that one midfielder definitely not joining is Everton's Amadou Onana, who was also linked in January, but that cost raised eyebrows back then, and is still or not on the radar now because he's not the type of midfielder they want. So apparently Onana is not the type of midfielder that we want. The opposite to that probably will be Douglas Luiz, someone who can control the ball in midfield, spread the play here and there, keep possession, and you're trying to keep possession the last 20 minutes of the game. It's a player who can play like Jorginho in terms of that, and it's a younger Jorginho, let's say. So that is the total opposite of Onana. Onana will dominate the midfield and bully the other players, but Douglas Luiz will more of a control player in the midfield. Now, he can still defend. He's a defensive midfielder, but I think he'll bring more attacking qualities and defensive qualities. And that's the kind of midfielder that Douglas Luiz is, and that is probably the kind of midfield that he loves those players who can pass the ball in midfield and keep possession and basically destroy the opponent. Don't let the opponent get the ball, basically suffocate them. That's what Asha wants. And we thought Zubimendi would be one of those players, but we've also heard that he doesn't want to come to the Premier League. And also on top of that, we're hearing that doesn't maybe we've changed our mind on him. So again, it's very tough to know which midfielders you're going to sign. For me, the plan is, if you're going to sell Thomas Partey, either you get Bruno Guimaraes or you get two midfielders. So if you sell Partey and get Douglas Luiz and you get Onana, both of them, I'll be okay with that. But if you sell Partey and then only get Onana, I'm not going to be happy with that. I think it's very hard to replace Thomas Partey. Ideally for me, I want to keep Partey and then also add Douglas Luiz on top of Jorginho and also Declan Rice. I think right then we have a very strong midfield. Because last season, we were forced to play Jorginho and Partey so many times because we didn't have, Jorginho and Rice so many times because we didn't have anyone else to play in midfield. Those games against, no disrespect, but Sheffield, and Burnley, such kind of games, you don't really have to play Declan Rice and all of those guys. You can rest him for one game, but the thing is we didn't really have any midfielders to play. Even El Neni was injured, so we basically didn't have any midfielders to play. We only had Jorginho and Rice, and thankfully Jorginho and Rice were very good for us last season. So if they weren't, we would have been in a lot of trouble in terms of the midfield. But Douglas Luiz would be a great signing for us. Let's wait and see whether we are going to pay that 50 million for him. He's a player we've been linked to before, so Atta definitely likes him. We've been linked to him since 2021. I think 4 transfer windows. I think this could be the 4th transfer window where we are hearing about Douglas Luiz's name. So that will be interesting. Get me Douglas Luiz 100%. Next up is Federico Chiesa. I never thought that we'd be linked to players like this, Dybala, Chiesa. I wouldn't really imagine us being linked to a player like this, but we actually linked to Chiesa. The latest reports on him from Juve says Federico Chiesa's future at Juventus is uncertain due to his current contract situation. Let me read that again. Federico Chiesa's future at Juventus is uncertain due to his current contract situation, and there's increasing interest in the player from Arsenal, Newcastle, and Chelsea. Arsenal, Newcastle, and Chelsea. Juventus would prefer a sale abroad and are asking for at least 40 to 45 million euros. Now, Arsenal is interested in Federico Chiesa. That's a very interesting one. Now, there's a couple of problems with this one. Federico Chiesa is still a very good player, but he was good after the 20... He was very good at Fiorentina before he joined Juventus. I think he was Fiorentina 4 or 5 years. He was very good, and that's why Juventus bought him from there. And during that Euro period, 2021, there, Chiesa was incredible for Italy. He was incredible for Juventus. And if you had to sign him at that time, they would probably have asked for, 70, 80 million for him at that time because he was really firing. But unfortunately, after that, he picked up an ACL injury. I think it was 2021, 2022. He picked up an ACL injury, and that kind of killed his momentum and the kind of form he was in after the Euros, and it struggled to recover from that. Now, players who are coming back from ACLs, you never know which kind of player you're going to get. You're either going to get a player who's, revived and ready to go again, or you're going to get a player who's, mentally and maybe physically, scarred. Mentally, they might not want to go and make a challenge because they had that ACL injury. Physically, the same. Maybe they wouldn't have the strength or the pace they once used to have. Bellerin, when he got his injury. Also, Timber, we don't know how good he's going to recover. I'm waiting to really see Timber next season because I know ACLs, you might come back and never be the same player, but you're hoping that Timber comes back next season and he's the same. Some of the female players, Leah Williamson and Miadema as well, all of them picked up ACL injuries. It's tough. It's not easy to get those ACL injuries and to recover from them. Now, Chiesa struggled to do that. Those 2 seasons, 2021 to 2023, he really struggled. But last season, his numbers were back. He managed to play 33 Serie A games. He scored 10 goals in all competitions. He had 2 assists in all competitions. And I think that is the first proper season he's had since the last Euros, Chiesa. And he was enjoying himself. He was playing sometimes behind Vlahovic, sometimes on the left side. But then again, the other problem is another left winger. Martinelli is there, Trossard is there. We've been linked to Sesko, who might play there. How many left wingers are we going to get? Now, for me, if you have to get a left winger, you have to get, for me, someone who's absolutely, out of this world. Someone like a Leao or Vinicius or Kvaratskhelia. If those are not the kind of players you're getting, I'm very happy to keep Trossard and Martinelli on the left side for the next couple of years and not really get someone like a Chiesa. But the money is not bad. So I've put a poll on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, let me know. Would you take Chiesa for 40 million euros? 40 to 45 million euros. Do you think it's worth it taking him for that money, or would you rather spend that money elsewhere, like on a backup for Saka or a left back or a backup midfielder? Where would you rather spend that money, 40 to 45 million euros? Chiesa is linked, though. Chiesa is linked to Arsenal and Chelsea as well, and Newcastle. Would I be worried if a Chiesa went to like a Chelsea? I don't think so. I don't think I'd be like not be able to sleep at night if Chiesa went to a Chelsea or to a Newcastle. But if someone like an Osimhen or Gyökeres went to a Chelsea, Man United to be like, they've gotten a really, really incredible player. But for Chiesa, incredible player, especially in 2021, the Euros. I remember how Italy was just all the way to the final. They were really good. At Fiorentina, is really good. This season at Juventus, he was good. But those injuries here and there's had muscular injuries. I think a knee injury. He's had a lot of injuries as well, fatigue injuries and all that. So that is the only worry with Chiesa, the injuries. But in terms of player, he's good. I think he's 26 or 27 right now, so he still has a long way to go, Federico Chiesa. But would you guys pay the money for him or not? So you can see where we are going in terms of balancing out in terms of signings. If you can get Douglas Luiz for 50 million and then you get Chiesa for 40 million and then you get another defender for 30 million, that would be a perfect balance. But for me, Chiesa wouldn't be at the top of my list. But unless you guys would want Chiesa, let me know. Next up, let's talk about a striker who's at Arsenal but is currently on loan, Biereth. A couple of you guys have asked about Biereth, but this is the latest on him. Mika Biereth is high on Club Brugge's wish list for striker this summer. So I don't know whether they want him on loan or they want to buy him permanently. For me, I think he still has something to offer. I'd like to see him on another loan spell. There's a time I was following under 21s and doing watch-alongs for them a couple of seasons ago, and him and Balogun were destroying teams in the under 21. Both of them, they're just scoring 2 goals, they had 3 goals tomorrow, 2 goals, they had 5 goals tomorrow. Like both of them are just destroying opponents. But he's never really gotten a chance in the first team at Arsenal, and he's been out on loan for a couple of teams. I think in Netherlands was one of them. And a few of you have been asking, can we bring him back maybe as a backup striker? I don't think that is going to happen. I can only see him potentially going out on another loan deal or potentially even getting sold. Now, if he gets sold, depending on how much money you're going to get, we need to raise money. We need to raise money for these players if you're going to sell them. The likes of Nelson, Ketia, Biereth, Lokonga, Tavares, whoever you're going to sell, we need to raise money for him. So Club Brugge are interested in him. I'm assuming it will be a loan deal or they'd offer something like 8 to 10 million or something stupid like that. So is it worth it just to get rid? In terms of the levels where we are trying to go, Biereth, I love Biereth. I loved him when he was playing for the under 21. Even Balogun, they were very good. But the level we are trying to go, if we're 2-1 down to Man City, and we have a strike on the bench, would you really bring in Biereth to be the one in that game? maybe that's too high for him. Maybe some of you feel like we can use him in the Carabao Cup or something, FA Cup first, and see how it goes. But these players, not everyone usually makes it. So some players usually have high hopes for, but not everyone makes it. You remember Aziz? We all thought Aziz was going to be the next thing, but never quite happened, Balogun never quite happened at Arsenal. I've not really followed how he's done in France this season. Not everyone usually makes it. Nwaneri might make it, Dubarry might not. They might both make it. Karlheim or Konko, you can argue they make it, but they might never play first team football for Arsenal. So you just never know what is going to happen with these players. You have to watch out and see, you have to give them time. So for someone like a Biereth, let's see what happens with him. But Club Brugge are offering around maybe 8 to 10 million, but let's see what is going to happen with them. So that's the latest on Biereth, the latest on Chiesa, the latest on Douglas Luiz as well. Let me know what you guys say about all of this. So let's see. Yad says, hi, I'm Yad from Aroa. I think Arsenal has to buy Bruno Guimaraes and Douglas Luiz and Sesko and finally Marcus. That is impossible, brother. Bruno Guimaraes is 100 million. Douglas Luiz is 50 million. Sesko is 50 million. Marcus Rashford, they'll probably ask for 70. So that is 270. That's basically not possible. So from those 4 players, you'd have to pick 2. You'd have to pick 2 which you really, really want. So for me, if you're to give me that list, Douglas Luiz, I'd pick Douglas Luiz. It's 50 million. I don't think Bruno Guimaraes is worth 100 million. I wouldn't pay 100 million for Bruno Guimaraes. I'd pay the 50 million. And then for Sesko, potentially, yeah. If you're to ask me, Sesko, I think Sesko wants to score goals. I'll get him ahead of Rashford. Any sign, I guess we should just announce their medical today because Arsenal always scouts for useless teams like Chelsea and other useless teams. Chelsea love going for other teams' targets. Yes, that is true. But if a player wants to join Arsenal, they'll join Arsenal. So same like with the players like Declan Rice. If they want to join Arsenal, they'll join Arsenal. Let's see. Let's see. Luiz can be a good signing. Says hydropower. Taluga says I'm not hearing you. Probably check your device. Because I can hear my sorry, I can hear myself as well. Luiz can be a good signing, says I read that one. That is it. Keep Partey and buy another one quality midfield. That is what I'd want. I don't want us to keep Partey and not sign any midfielder. I think that is a bad idea. You have to, if you keep Partey, you have to bring in another midfielder because we don't want to play the first game and then he gets injured again. And then what happens after that? That is a problem. So we need to get someone else to also help out Partey, and also that will allow Partey to rest sometimes. We have more Champions League games next season. Premier League doesn't become easier. You're going to face tougher teams. I assume going to a Leicester would be harder than going to a Sheffield United, so games would be tougher. City says, bro, we miss business players, so Chiesa could bring that killer habit to the team. Think so. We don't really sign that level of kind of players. But the thing is, injuries, and number 2 as well, left wing. He's another left winger. Yes, he can play as a second striker. You can even play him forward a couple of games. 40 million euros is not bad. I actually think 40 million euros for Chiesa, I'd be interested to do to bring him for 40 million euros. I don't think that's bad. And last season he had a good season in terms of not having injuries and scoring and assisting, 12 attacking returns. Let's see. Look at Madrid, get enough experience on the bench. Bench winners, tangible trophy. Let's see. Asiwaji asks about WhatsApp. There's a pinned post on Facebook, if you check that, about WhatsApp. Looks at last season, Martinelli and Jesus are out of form. Trossard and Havertz came in and did their best. Trossard and Havertz really helped us because Jesus and Martinelli are not there in terms of form. If Trossard and Havertz, one of them, was not good on form as well, wouldn't have been in a title race in the final day. We definitely have dropped off further in terms of maybe 6-7 points behind Man City. So my hope is that Martinelli and Jesus return next season. I'm hoping to, if we have the same Martinelli and Jesus from 2 seasons ago, and Havertz and Trossard performing like they did last season, and Odegaard and Saka keep on playing their game, and we had another strike and some stuff like that, we're in a very good place. But hoping Martinelli and I'd like to to imagine that Martinelli and Jesus will be back better than what they were last season. Last season was not great. I predicted Martinelli to have the most assists. He had like 3. He was missing a lot of one-on-one chances. He never really recovered after that December-January period. Saka, Odegaard, Havertz all recovered, but Martinelli didn't, and Jesus didn't have a great season at all. Was it 4 goals or something like that? That's not a good return. He has had like 3 different injuries as well. Martinelli as well had like 2-3 different injuries last season. We are hoping for a better campaign. I had Martinelli is going to play tonight for Brazil, so let's see how he does that. Sinclair says, good evening, bro. I think we should keep Mika, Biereth and be patient with Sesko, but we have buy Sesko by all means. Yeah, the offer is on the table. We just have to wait for Sesko to make his decision. For Biereth, it depends. If someone comes and offers 25 million for him, then he probably sell. I'd like to see him going on another loan spell because I don't see him playing. If we sign a striker, it is going to be the striker and Havertz playing, so Biereth will not get opportunities at all. And Jesus is still here, and Nketiah is still here. Now, both could end up leaving. I expect Nketiah to leave. Jesus, I'm not sure. I want Jesus to stay. But if they all stay, if Jesus stays, Havertz is there, and we sign a striker, then someone like a Biereth will never get game time. I want us to go find the FA Cup and Carabao Cup next. And I want us to look at our Carabao Cup team against Millwall or someone. And, Martinelli is there, or Trossard is there, and Havertz is playing, and, I don't know, even Declan Rice is playing, Partey is playing, or Jorginho is playing. We want to go far in those competitions, and I think we have a squad. David says, for me, Bruno, Luiz, Sesko, and Rashford, not possible. That would be a dream list. If you get those 4 players, you definitely probably win a trophy next season. Definitely win a trophy, but it's not possible. That's like 300 million. You only have to choose 2 from that. You also have to be careful with FFP. We don't want next season to be top, and then the thing that costs us is deduction of points. We don't want to be in that situation. I've been a fan of Douglas Luiz for long, but keeping Partey plus Luiz is the best. That is what I would do. Prince, I'd keep both Partey, and then by Douglas Luiz, also Jorginho. Personally, I don't feel like we need a defender. If we get a defender, fine. But for me, I wanted a midfielder, Douglas Luiz, get me a striker and get me a winger to help Saka, and I'm okay with the rest of the team. Ben White is in my starting lineup. Saliba is in my starting lineup. Gabriel is in my starting lineup. Timber is in my starting lineup. Tomiyasu is there if he stays fit. Kivia is there if he stays fit. I don't think Zinchenko is the worst player to play for Arsenal. I still disagree with that. He can do the job in a couple of those games. Maybe not against Aston Villa or Liverpool or Man City away. Probably don't play Zinchenko in those games. But at home to, I don't know, Ipswich, he can play him and he can do the job for you. Or maybe use him in midfield. If you need to get a defender, maybe get another centre-back or someone to help out. A midfield, get someone to help out Partey. Rice is a starter for me. Odegaard is a starter for me. Saka, obviously. Martinelli would start for me the first game next season. I don't mind if Trossard starts as well. Both of them are good. I think Martinelli, if you keep having him on the bench, as we said with Kosi the other day, I think he keep killing his confidence. So obviously expect a bit of rotation there. I have no problem with Trossard and Martinelli rotating, and Tomiyasu and Ben White rotating. No problem at all. I love all 4 of them. Diane says Douglas Luiz would be a good business together with Sesko. I agree. That one I agree for sure. Ibanga says, please keep Partey and add one to him. Go for Sesko and Luiz. That would be my list as well. Dalton says, hi Glenn, for me, Arsenal should go for Luiz and Fofana if they let Partey go. Yeah, if you let Partey go and you get Luiz and Fofana, I'm okay with that. But if you let Partey go and then only sign Fofana, I'm not happy with that, because Partey and Rice do things that I don't think too many people can do. You need to control the midfield. Whenever we feel pressure, can I pass the ball to you to control the midfield for us? Can you hit a long pass to Martinelli and Saka? Can you win us a couple of free kicks to waste a bit of time here and there? Do you have the pace? Can you position yourself nicely? Don't be out of position and all that. You have to have a lot. And there's a couple of times you see Partey getting passed for the ball from the goalkeeper, and then you're like, okay, pass the ball back to Saliba or Gabriel. But Partey has different thing in his mind, like he turns and he straight into attack, things like that. I don't think you can replace him with one player. If you have 2, absolutely fine. Dalton says we should instead go for right winger like Nico Williams instead of Chiesa. I don't mind Nico Williams at all. Very, very good, both him and his brother. Morgan says, I think Atenedu are doing good work in the doors right there. Imagine having Luiz Chiesa with that experience he has, and you go for Gyökeres, one standing way to success for sure. So Gyökeres is currently injured, so I don't think too many people will want him right now until he recovers. I think he's out for like 6 or 7 weeks. That is a problem, and he's just done a knee surgery. We already have Jesus, who gets a lot of knee surgeries. Gyökeres was my first striker signing. That's the striker signing I wanted, but now he's injured and they want 100 million. That is a problem. Luiz can be a great signing, says Xavier. I would say Luiz would be a good signing, like will be a great signing for sure if he joined us. I think it is better to keep Partey and bring Luiz. We need a powerful midfielder, says Hydropower. Sesko, Luiz, and Chiesa, says Bukola. That's more realistic. That's around 150 million, 160 million. That's realistic. Let's see. I know Luiz loves Arsenal. He can't go to Chelsea. Is bright. Hopefully. Sesko, Guimaraes, and Fadi Kadioglu, says the hero. That's manageable as well, I'd say. That's around 170, 80. That's manageable. But you wouldn't be able to get a fourth player. I think because Bruno Guimaraes is too. Bruno Guimaraes is a very good player, but I would not pay 100 million. That's too much. That's way too much. I don't think he's in the same level as Declan Rice, to be honest. He's very good. He can score, he can assist, he can very powerful in terms of midfield and all that. But 100 million? Nah. We just need 3 players, 1 striker, 1 strong midfield, and a winger, but don't sell Partey. I agree that. I think we're also going to get a goalkeeper. So that's where they have to leave like 10 million, 15 million on the side for a goalkeeper if Ramsdale leaves. Or it could just be Ramsdale goes and then we use that money in another goalkeeper. That could also work out depending on how much money we are getting. Please give Partey a contract and sign Douglas Luiz and Sesko and many more, says Oyega. New contract. Nah, I wouldn't do a new contract. I would not do a new contract. How old is Partey? He's 30, right? Maybe 1 year. But if next season Partey also has another 2 injuries and he misses another 20 games, then you don't give him a new contract. From that point, now you have to move on. But if he has a good season like 2020, 2023, where he was playing a lot of games and scoring goals from outside the box and controlling the midfield with Jack and all that, I would keep him. I'd keep Partey for next season, but it depends on what happens next season. I wouldn't really give him a new contract right now because you might give him another 3 years right now and then he misses 30 games next season. The injuries are too much, so I would not really give him a new contract right now, but I'd keep him next season. Dewey says, what about trials of now? Do I have the news on trial? Did I delete it? Well, Fabrizio did say that you're making it permanent very soon. I think 27 million, but I don't have that. Do I? No, I don't have it. But yeah, we are signing him for 27 million. Yeah, so basically, Rai is not our player right now. Rai is still a Brentford player right now, but you're going to sign him. They make it permanent. Yes, UCL is attractive. That's the thing, Akuna. That's the thing. Now, I thought Douglas Luiz would stay at Aston Villa because they've qualified for Europe. But Champions League, not just in Europe, Champions League, but seems like they have to sell. If you're just joining, this is the latest news on Douglas Luiz. This is what you've gone through so far. And Douglas Luiz has become a target for Juventus and Arsenal as Aston Villa have to sell players to comply with PSR rules, that is profit and sustainability rules. The price of the Brazilian, £50 million. And then this one from Rudy Galetti, Arsenal are once again taking concrete interest in Douglas Luiz, one of the preferred profiles to strengthen the midfield in the summer. Juventus are also on his tracks. Juventus are usually a very broke team for some reason, but Aston Villa potentially want to sell him there. Aston Villa need to sell some players by the end of June. So Aston Villa need to sell the players by the end of June. And also this from TalkSport, Aston Villa considering selling Douglas Luiz this month to ease PSR concerns. TalkSport understands Arsenal are long-term admirers. And yeah, we've been linked to him since 2021 and then 2022 as well. I think the 2023 January and then last season as well. I think just before he signed Rice and January, I think as well. And then this year's now we are being linked to him again. I'll take Douglas Luiz. Blaze says Euro starts next week. We are quite ready on this Sesko deal. I hope it won't be like Mudryk race because Chelsea are not giving up at all. Again, as we said, the offers for Sesko are on the table. There's nothing much you can do after that. You can't force the player to move from Slovenia to come to England to finalize the deal. It is up to him. The offer is on the table. There's nothing anyone else is doing. Chelsea is not doing anymore. Arsenal is not doing anymore. Man United is not doing anymore. So in terms of you saying Chelsea are not giving up, I'm sure Arsenal are not giving up as well, but it's up to the player to make a decision. Again, I'm very patient with the transfers these days. The Declan Rice one took like a month to complete. As long as if Arteta and I do really want the player, we are going to get them. And as people have said, UCL is attractive, fighting for the title is attractive. Playing with Odegaard and, Saka and all those players is attractive. Getting managed by Arteta is attractive. Getting managed by a set-piece coach like Yova is attractive. All of those things are attractive. Is Rashford Man United coming? That one is a bit quiet right now. You have to wait and see. I don't even think a lot of Arsenal fans want Rashford to come in anyway. For me, I still think Rashford is a very good player. But attitude is a problem. That's another thing that I think looks at in terms of attitude. Are you going to, disrupt the team and all that? That becomes a problem. So that is basically why you're not even linked to Tony right now, because of the character. Alman says Jesus is not a point striker. I agree. He's not going to score 8 games in a row for you, but there's a lot of other things he does for us. That is why I want him to stay in the team. Maybe not use him as a striker. You can use him as a wing and all that. In terms of winning deals and all that, I think he's probably our best player in terms of that. And there's a few games last night I remember, and I'm like, he had like 10 good performances. Like if you look at Sevilla away, we won that game just because of Jesus, like him alone. That's why we won that game. The assist came from him and the goal came from him. If you look at the third goal against Man United, he has that intelligence inside the box. That assist for Trossard against Bayern Munich, that assist for Rice, I think, against Brentford. I think he also assisted Trossard against Crystal Palace right after the Dubai trip. He has good moments. Now, he's not going to score 30 goals for you. That's when I agree. But in terms of keeping him, I would keep him still. Keep Partey, sign Diomande as a backup for Saliba. Keep Kivio, sign Nico Williams as a backup for Saka. Sign a striker and we are good to go. So that is Luiz, Diomande, Nico Williams, and a striker. So let's say Nico Williams around 70 million. Diomande, they'd want like 55. Luiz like 50. That's over the budget, Almans. That's over the budget. That would be like 240 million. Unless you're getting a 25 million striker, then that's the thing. Again, because we also did the keep or sell video yesterday, and a lot of people are saying, sell Jesus, sell Smith Rowe, sell Nketiah, sell Nelson, sell Kivio, sell Zinchenko. You do need a bench, You can't sell 9 players. You do need a bench. You can't sell everyone. On top of that, you also sell Ramsdale and you sell Jesus. You need a bench. So if you sell all of those players I've just mentioned, then that means you'll need to sign like 7 players, because El Neni has also left, Cedric has also left. You'll need a bench. So out of those players that we have there, Jesus, Nelson, Nketiah, Kivio, Zinchenko, even Partey included in that list, 7-8 players, you can only sell like half of them. And maybe the most 5 out of 9. You have to keep the other 4 to have bench players, because if you sell all of them, then on the bench next season you have Trossard. Let's say you have the new striker there. Let's say you have Tomiyasu there. And then that is it. You don't have anyone else, because you've gotten rid of Jesus, you've gotten rid of Zinchenko, you've gotten rid of Kivio, you've gotten rid of all of them. And injuries can happen as well. So you can't sell 10 players. You can only choose 4 of them to sell out of all of those players that you want to sell. So if you want Partey to go, I don't also think like you can also let Jesus and Smith Rowe to go as well. If you want Smith Rowe to go and Nelson to go, I don't think you can also say, okay, I also want Vieira and Jesus and also Partey to go. No, you can only sell 4 players at most, probably, maybe the goalkeeper included to make it 5, maybe. I appreciate you guys watching all of the comments. I appreciate it. That's the latest on Douglas Luiz and also Chiesa and Mika Biereth. There'll definitely be more news on that. The transfer window starts on Friday, so you're expecting more stories to develop. The one for Sesko, we already told the offers on the table. We are now waiting. And these players, most of them are on holiday anyway. Some of them are, international duty, Copa America, Euros. We have to wait and see what happens. Let me just check what the the poll said. Kelvin says, watching you from Mazaboka, Zambia. Thank you for watching. Let me just check what the poll, the results are in terms of if people want Chiesa. If you're watching on Facebook or any other platform, let me know if you want Chiesa, yes or no. Let's take one more. Let's see the sign Luiz. I can't read that one. I can't put that one on the screen, but yeah, I can read the first part. You want us to sign Luiz. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I also want Luiz. I also probably will get Sesko as well. It's very unmanageable. Is that a word? To get Osimhen and Bruno Guimaraes and all of those players, it's impossible. Even Man City will struggle to get players like Bruno Guimaraes. I don't even think Bruno Guimaraes wants to leave Newcastle anyway. So in terms of would Chiesa be a good signing for Arsenal, 63% are saying yes. 24% are saying not sure, 13% are saying no chance. So 63% of you would want Chiesa. That's a weird one, because if you sign Chiesa is a left winger. Where does Martinelli and Trossard play? I don't like Martinelli on the right wing. Chiesa can play as a second striker. Trossard can play as a striker 1 or 2 games, but if you're signing a striker and you also have Havertz, where do they play? I don't know, man. For me, I really want someone who's like a right winger. So players like Olise and players like Bakayoko. Bakayoko would be my choice from PSV. I want such kind of players. If Neto was fit, I would get him. Those players who can play maybe even right, left side. If Chiesa can play right side, I've not seen him playing right side too many times. And then on top of that, you also have Jesus. If he stays, he's going to play on the wing. I mean, it's not bad to have 4 or 5 players who can play wing. Man, still have Grealish, Doku, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Bob. They have a lot of players who can play as a winger. Sinclair says, let's keep Gabriel Jesus. He has something different quality. I agree. To our strikers, he brings something different from our team. I just like this work. Keep us updated. Absolutely, Sinclair. Thank you for watching. In terms of live streams, it's going to be earlier than this, as I keep on saying. When the transfer window opens on Friday, it will be like before night time, so around afternoon, depending on where you are. Around 6, 7, because most of you are watching from Europe and Africa. I'd say 6, 7, 8 around that. That's when we'll be doing the live streams, and then 2, 3 videos per day as we keep on. Sandy says, Joe from Uganda. The last couple of days has been quiet. I've been quiet, but in terms of when the transfer window opens, it's not going to be quiet. It's going to start hearing progress. The transfer window will open. The pre-season will come in as well. Fixtures will be released, so it's going to be a busy period. In terms of outgoings, we'll hear the future on not Sesko Smith Rowe. We'll hear the latest on Nelson and all of those players. So if you haven't checked it out, the last video I did a couple of hours ago, we talked about Reece Nelson. We talked about the latest on Onana, the latest on Zubimendi, and the latest on Sesko. So make sure to check it out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.